Greetings, YouTube. Frankly, it surprises me that Florida still has a Department of Environmental Protection. You'd think that kind of thing would have been swept aside by the GOP, because Governor Rick Scott isn't really too happy with some of the language they use. And the reason is that he wants to prevent the use of certain terms, such as climate change and global warming. Here's a quote. "We were told not to use the terms climate change, global warming, or sustainability." Christopher Bird, who served as an attorney with the DEP's Office of General Counsel from 2008 to 2013, told FCIR, and that would be the Florida Center for Investigative Reporting. This message was communicated to me and my colleagues by our superiors in the Office of General Counsel. Now, I think I picked this up on the Big Blue initially, a Metafilter, and someone had made an interesting comment, a Florida resident, that they would probably still continue to work on the issue at hand of the fact that Florida is in dire danger of the oceans rising, but they would probably do it under the auspices of hurricane prevention or preparedness. And by doing it that way, something because Florida gets smacked by hurricanes every single year, to one degree or another, and tropical storms are parts of Florida are only 30 feet above sea level. And if the oceans rise as far as we think they're going to, they could be like 20 feet, which means a whole lot of Florida is going to become fish habitat, which I guess is a bonus for some of the fish. I'm not positive. Maybe they become new coral reefs. That would be nice. But by putting it under the auspices of hurricane preparedness, you avoid those unpleasant terms that the GOP considers so distasteful. Though why sustainability is one of them is a bit baffling. Because in theory, conservatism is maintaining what you have, and sustainability is part of maintaining what you have by making sure that it's sustainable. So I think that you could probably shoehorn sustainability into an actual definition of conservatism as opposed to American conservatism, which is all about making sure that the wealthy control everything and that everyone else controls nothing. American conservatism actually has almost nothing to do with the definition of the word conservatism. And that's an interesting take on the idea that the same kinds of programs that will help Floridians avoid becoming fish habitat, by just putting it under a different title, make it more palatable to the American conservative frame of mind. Now, someone actually suggested that the way that this could be conceived would be to do the same things that, like, the Dutch have done, which is dikes and berms and things like that, because the whole sections of that country are literally below sea level. So you've got these seawalls that prevent the sea from rushing in and destroying their country. So the idea would be that Florida could do something similar, but Florida's a really big place. It's that big finger of land sticking out into the Atlantic. And I can't even conceive of how big a seawall you would have to build to prevent that. Wouldn't you essentially have to build a seawall all the way around the state? And wouldn't that cost like hundreds of billions of dollars? And if there's one thing GOP is against, it's public works, even if you put it under the term hurricane preparedness, when the price tag comes along with hundreds of billions of dollars. And of course, if it were ever to fail, then Florida becomes fish habitat. But it's an interesting idea that by just changing the terms, American conservatism can swallow a bitter pill that they are not willing to take when you call it what it actually is. So it's a wonderful example of willful ignorance and denial of there's no easier person to lie to than yourself. That is so long as you don't have to face the bitter truth, that you're still willing to go through the motions and do what has to be done, so long as you can bury your head in the sand, or in this case, bury your head in the fish habitat if you don't do it. So if any Floridians out there see this video, tell me if you think this plan would actually work. Do you think you could actually sell this to Florida residents as hurricane preparedness? And do you think the idea of trying to protect Florida in this manner, or something like this, makes any sense at all? If there's any engineers or climatologists out there who see this, I would love to know, because I think it's really far-fetched that you could do anything to stop this. Really, seriously. I mean, I could see you saving some parts. Like, I could see Disney and some of the big parks investing a lot of money in pursuing certain areas so that tourism continues. I've used that idea in role-playing games where I had Lost Disney, which was an arcology in a post-apocalyptic game. I think I also might have used it in a cyberpunk game once. But in trying to save Florida from the rising tides that are coming, I think it's hopeless. I think you just gotta move everybody out. It's a lot easier than trying to save Florida from the fate that it's going to befall. Because, like I said, big hunks of Florida are only 30 feet above sea level. So if anybody out there has any information on this, as if residents or climatologists or engineers, I would love to hear it. But these Florida GOP members, they are just cleaving to denial like nobody's business.